It's another Saturday when we bring you your favorite security and safety weekly tonic called Security Watch Africa. Only on this channel, the Africa Independent Television, will bring you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Wherever the news is, Security Watch Africa will be there for you. Welcome to the program. Today, my name still remains Patrick Abambo. During the week, the news came of the sudden death of a vibrant and a bright Nigeria. One of the rare Nigerians that dedicated her life to making sure that criminals don't have their way in our country. Sadly, she died via a freak accident. It's so sad and a very, very bad moment for Nigeria as a whole, and the Nigerian Air Force and her family. I'm talking about Flight Officer Tolulope Arotile. In fact, she's known, is on record as she's the first combatant pilot, female combatant pilot Nigeria had. Yes, after that, there have been one or two others, but she had undertaken some flights against bandits. It's so sad that she died, and pray to God that God will give the nation the heart to bear it, the family and the Air Force. Life is not replaceable, but sadly, that is the reality we have. It's so sad that she had gone at just a young age. She had a lot she would have offered to the country, Nigeria, but that is how the Lord Almighty wished for her to live. But good, a thing that she left a record, short life, but she left a record that many people that lived so much years on earth were not able to do. So our heart goes to her family, and we wish them the fortitude to bear the loss. Yeah, during her winging, last year, she spoke about her dream. She spoke about her dream to how she can help to assist the country and get these criminals out of our shores. Let's sit back and let's hear what she said on that day.
From the Nigerian Defense Academy, and being there, we had like 70% men. So it was already something we had to get used to. And so going upwards, just one thing I learned was to just keep running till I'm done.
As a young Nigerian that was ready to go upward and do great things for her nation. But though she had gone to be with the Lord, and I'm sure that the Lord will grant her eternal rest. Yes, it's so sad, really, because she was meant to mentor a lot of other young Nigerians who are ready to take up that challenge, that honor challenge to take up as a combatant pilot. It's not easy, but she was dedicated. During her training in South Africa, she was singled out because of her brilliance and her competence and her dedication to go for further training outside Africa, and she came back with honors. That is the young lady that Nigeria has lost. But a lot of news are flying about conspiracy theories. We should allow her soul to rest in peace and move ahead. And I know that the law enforcement agencies and the Nigerian Air Force, they are capable to look into it if there is need. But I believe that this is the time to give her soul the rest that she deserves. Yes, during the week, last week, on this program, our correspondent, Shuli Daniels, called in from Faskari, Katsina State, reporting what is happening as the Nigerian Army Day celebration was rounding off. We have a report also from Faskari about what happened on that day when officers and soldiers who distinguished themselves were honored by the Chief of Army Staff. Sit back as we bring you this report by Shuli Daniels.
It is said that in the arena of human life, honors and rewards fall to those who show their good qualities in action. These were demonstrated when Lieutenant General Toko Yusuf Buratai of the Nigerian Army awarded 16 officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army during the just concluded Nigerian Army Day celebrations in Faskari, Katsina State. The Chief of Army Staff Commendation Award, unveiling of the book titled Compendium of the Nigerian Army Transformation, Buratai's years 2015 to 2020 were the climax of the Nigerian Army Day celebrations, Nassau 2020, which was graced by the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi retired, and the district head of Faskari, Engineer Aminu Tuko Usman. Nassau 2020, which has the theme Nigeria's Territorial Defense and Sovereignty, imperative for the Nigerian Army's sustainable training and operation, started on July 1st and ended on the 6th of July 2020. Among the recipients of the awards is the Chief of Training and Operations, Nigerian Army, Major General Enebon Udo, who won the Chief of Army Staff's Commendation Award alongside 6 other officers and 9 soldiers for outstanding performance in operations and innovations. General Udo was awarded for his forthrightness and exemplary leadership in planning and execution of operations that had yielded tremendous success across the theaters of operation. Other officers awarded include Commander 107 Division Equipment Support, Brigadier General Babatunde Alaya, who designed and fabricated the made-in-Nigeria mine-resistant ambush-protected MRAP vehicles in Maduguri. Alaya was recognized for his genuity and innovation in developing local solutions to the equipment needs of the Nigerian Army. 1 sergeant, 1 last corporal, and 1 private soldier were recognized for innovations, gallantry, and bravery in the discharge of their duties. A host of others, officers, and soldiers were awarded in various achievements and innovations. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Toko Buratai, commended the officers and soldiers for their commitment to the defense of the country.
Today's honors and award ceremony occupy a special pride of place in the life of an institution such as the Nigerian Army. It is an occasion where personnel who have distinguished themselves in their field of endeavor are singled out for recognition. These individuals being recognized today have one way or the other demonstrated in an uncommon way sacrifice, bravery, doggedness, commitment, and ingenuity among others in their service to the Nigerian Army and to our nation. Undoubtedly, this year's award ceremony is indeed a very unique one in view of the emerging security environment in the country. However, it is no doubt an uphill task to perform exceptionally under the prevailing conditions. To this end, I wish to assure you all that the Nigerian Army will continue to recognize the sacrifices of such individuals. I wish to congratulate the recipients of the year 2020 honors and awards. You were singled out for recognition through a very rigorous and transparent process. It is therefore my hope that you will justify this rare recognition by sustaining the hard work.
Buratai urged their awardees to carry on with the hard work that had earned them the awards and admonished those who were not recognized to strive more towards achieving the heights.
For those who did not win any award today, I wish to acknowledge the efforts you have all put in towards the development and upliftment of the Nigerian Army. Since it is a known fact that not everybody can be chosen, I implore you to work harder so that next year, too, you will be celebrated.
To whom much is given, much is expected. Nigerians and the Nigerian Army are looking up to these awardees to put in more in ensuring the country is safe. Shirley Daniels, Security Watch Africa.
Welcome back. Yeah, to whom much is given, much is expected. I believe that those soldiers and officers who were honored will brace to do more, and maybe also gets awarded next year. Well, he can never stop working hard so he can be honored. And we wish to congratulate those who were honored, and we charge every other officer and soldiers of the Nigerian Army to work harder so that next year, like the Chief of Army Staff did say, you may be honored. Yes, one security issue that has agitated the minds of so many people across the globe is the issue of cybercrime. Cybercrime has become a very troubling incident these days of telecommunication upgrade in the whole world. It has become every day we have one complaint or the other. Security Watch Africa decided to do a special report on the effect of this cybercrime in Nigeria and in the world as a whole. We're looking and asking the question, is cybercrime now a pandemic? Because the rising report of cybercrime in the whole world is troubling. Sit back as we bring you this report by Peggy Agbe and Shekina Chinkeri.
Advanced technology has been very helpful to mankind, more with this era of COVID-19 pandemic. It is a means of communication, business transactions, seminars, online education, and even love affairs, as funny as it may sound. With the availability of broadband in cyberspace, cybercrime has been thriving globally with lots of fraud being carried out by both young and old. This has negatively affected so many individuals. Some are sick, some in psychiatric home, and many have committed suicide. Organizations have gone bankrupt, and even some have folded up, thereby rendering people unemployed. To find out what really is cybercrime, those who partake in these acts, and if there are solutions, Security Watch Africa spoke with the first public relations officer, DCP Frank Mba, and the head of cybercrime unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Dane White.
Cybercrime, simply put, are those crimes that are committed within the cyberspace. They are crimes that are committed using smart devices like computer, or committed online, or using network devices. They are just like every other kind of crime. The major difference is the fact that while most other crimes are committed on an analog platform or committed physically, so to say, they are committed within the cyberspace, the cyber world, using computer devices.
Cybercrime as a form of criminality, is peculiar because of how it evolves, by the minute or by the second. It's ever evolving, so it means there is need for law enforcement and generally all stakeholders to keep up with the pace of this evolution. They are getting smarter and getting newer ways to carry out their operations. And for this reason that we have identified, we are constantly also redefining our own strategies, not just to understand the modus of operandi as it evolves, but also to identify the core of their operations with a view of causing, an absolute disruption within the operation. So it's not enough to just trace and investigate and identify, high-value targets and willing participants along the value chain of this type of criminality, but also to disrupt the activity.
Both officers bear their minds on what fuels cybercrime.
It is not COVID-19 itself, or stricto sensu, that led to the rise of cybercrime. But what COVID-19 simply did was to increase opportunities available to the criminals. A lot of persons rushed onto the cyber platforms without having the requisite skills to manage their transactions within the cyberspace. And what I will be advising Nigerians is citizens should learn to have what I could describe as a graduated entry into the cyber world, an incremental entry into the cyber world, rather than you as a beginner, as a novice, get into the cyberspace, open an Instagram account, open a Facebook account, a Twitter account, have 4 of your bank accounts online, and begin to do all manners of things online without having the requisite skills and capacity. I will advise you make a graduated entry and a criminal entry, a gradual entry, and then learn the ropes before you throw in everything into the cyberspace.
Cybercrime, for a couple of years now, coming down to where we are today, there's been this argument, and it depends on which side of the line or divide you find yourself. There's been an argument that one of the contributing factors to the high or increased rate of cybercrime is poverty, viz. The economy. And there are people that will also argue, or there's also been an argument that, it comes down to the degradation of moral values. There has also been an argument that the educational system is not properly set up to prepare young school leavers for the labor market or life after the 4 walls of the higher institution, or whichever stage of schooling they transcend into the labor market from.
Cybercrime is a very peculiar crime, and investigating cybercrimes can be very challenging. One of the biggest challenges in handling cybercrimes is the anonymity that comes with those crimes. Unlike other crimes, cyber crimes are crimes that are driven by very skilled criminals. It is a skill-based crime. It is not a crime for anybody. It is a crime for people who have got deep understanding of the computer, deep understanding of the network system, deep understanding of the cyberspace and cyber world. And so you need to have a higher level of skill to be able to pull them down.
They also talked about the damaging effect of cybercrime to the nation and society.
Crime, or computer-related crime, as it is sometimes called, is a crime that involves a computer and a network of interconnected computer systems. At times the computer, in most cases the computer is used for committing this crime, and most times it is targeted, in this crime, and it's usually against the well-being of individuals, and it can sometimes threaten national security as well.
I would say it's a major challenge, not just for us in Nigeria, but for our generation worldwide. And the honest truth is that the world must get ready even for more complicated crimes on the cyber space, because the world is continuously gravitating towards the cyberspace. We are every day launching ourselves even deeper into the cyber world. A lot of our activities that were hitherto conducted on within the physical space are now being conducted within the cyberspace. And so it's a major challenge. We are getting our citizens to understand that in as much as there are a lot of advantages, a lot of positive takeaway from the cyberspace, there are also a lot of pitfalls and dangers and slippery terrain within the cyberspace. And so we are working with other agencies to educate our citizens and get them to understand that they must tread cautiously while transacting businesses or carrying out their social interactions within the cyberspace.
In search for solutions, both crime busters spoke on the role of religious bodies, families, and schools.
To change a man, you need to first of all change the way he thinks. And that is a function of some basic institutions within a society. We're talking about the family institution. So from the home, if guardians or parents, instill this moral value of dignity of labor and hard work and nation building within their wards and children and people that are left under their care, it starts to be inculcated at an early age and you grow with it. Our religious institutions as well, where we go to seek, moral values as it is, whether it be it the churches, the mosques, the synagogues, where people gather for faith worships, there again, the leaders there also have an obligation to play. Coming down to the school, where people are actually being molded in the formative years. That transfer of knowledge within those periods should also make provision to instill some of these values that will promote dignity of labor, hard work, nation building, and also highlight clearly the ills of engaging in some of these acts and omissions. So for me, I think that is quite paramount.
A rise in internet frauds and cyber crimes, for me, is what I would call fundamental failure in our socialization processes. How would a father, a responsible mother, a responsible guardian send a young boy to school? You are supposed to be paying the school fees of this young boy. You have sent him to Unilag, for example. He's probably at any Njoko Hall or any of the hostels, and then suddenly he moves out of school and now he's living in a 3-bedroom flat. And you are not the one that moved him out of school. You are not the one that moved her out of school. He has moved out of school. He is now paying rent. He's living in a palatial home, well furnished, probably better furnished even than the father's house. And then suddenly he's using a telephone, a handset, a smartphone, valued for perhaps 350,000 or more. And yet you are not asking questions. He suddenly begins to pay school fees for other persons, begin to drive a car, and yet you are not asking questions. You have a daughter doing similar thing, a son doing similar thing, and you're not asking questions. There is something fundamentally wrong with you as a father, as an aunt, as an uncle, as a guardian.
We are calling on, everybody, because this is not a task alone for, the agency, the commission. It is supposed to be an all-inclusive approach, all-stakeholder-inclusive approach, where everybody will come together and play their own role to try to, mitigate the occurrence of this ugly crime and also the effect, the negative effect, it has on people. So we expect, civil societies, different groups, the private sector, the NGOs, the religious bodies, all to roll up their sleeves, and play their own part. Yeah, so that's what we have been doing, and we're hoping that as we move forward, the mindset of people who we have identified within the age bracket to be involved as willing participators in this crime will start being altered.
Until society rejects ill-gotten wealth and parents begin to ask questions about expensive gifts showered on them by their children and the exuberant lifestyles of their children, cybercrime may never end. Peggy Agbe, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. Really, it's becoming a big challenge and a big issue for parenting in the world and Nigeria at large. Just like DCP Frank Mba did say, parents really have not, some parents really have not done what they should do. Imagine when a son who is in school, a 22-year-old boy, will buy 3 cars, he's still in school, an undergraduate, buy 3 cars, building a house, give him the mother some money. A child is having about 52 million naira in his account, and he's still a student. Questions should be asked and taken seriously, and check this. Until then, just like the report did say, we may not get out of it. We encourage people to be very, very cautious, very, very careful. A lot of people fall into the hands of these cyber criminals because some of them are greedy, some of them are just gullible, but you have to be very, very watchful. When a proposal looks so attractive, you should be able to ask questions and so that you will not fall victim of these criminals. Yes, it's a pandemic. One pandemic there, there's still another pandemic that has been with us since February this year. So some countries been there since December last year. That is talking about the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic is still with us. We can see the statistics for here in Nigeria on the screen is quite alarming, like some people would say, and the number figure is rising and rising. But yet we are being told that we have not gotten to the peak yet. The spike is still there, so we have to be very, very cautious. We have to be very, very careful. Try to avoid where you should not be. You must make sure that you are at the right place at the right time and be security conscious. Wash your hands regularly and put on the face mask and prevent spread. It's very, very important. We must leave for other programs to continue. On this channel, we'll bring you that information you need to keep your life safe and secure. We must thank you for joining us this week. You can follow this program on your social media, on our social media platform, so that you can follow the updates or the backlog of the programs. Until next week, I say thanks for staying tuned and bye for now.